Hello again, friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to a Talking Town Friday night, 6:30. Sorry, it's a bit early, but I'll be honest with you. Lay my cards firmly on the table with this. Both kids have got tonsillitis. I've been with them all day, and I couldn't wait to get away. So I was like, "Can we do this show earlier, please?" So here we are, a bit earlier than normal. But I've shut the door. The madness is outside, and we're here to discuss. Sadly, a 2-0 defeat at home to Brighton. Let us know your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions in our chat. Eleanor starts us off by saying, game's running out, no crystal ball, but if we need 40 points, it's going to be difficult. Presuming Town don't get anything Sunday, I think you're probably presuming right there, would mean 24 points from 16 games. 8 wins means winning every other game. Jack Smith's loving our thumbnail. Appreciate that, Jack. That is all mine, all my face. But Andy says neither Wolves or Everton will get to 40 points. That is the only saving grace. We've got a couple of teams down there that are they worse? Are they just as worse? I would welcome your thoughts, your opinions on that as we go through the course of the evening. And don't forget, like, subscribe, all of that wonderful business. Joining me, as always, is the one, the only, Mr. Matthew Phillips. Welcome in, Matt. How are we doing?
I'm good, thanks. You've left out the third option of why we're early, because your dinner is in the oven already.
Very true. I have a beef curry currently slowly cooking away in the oven. Yes. So we have got a deadline tonight. Otherwise, my dinner will be
burnt to a cinder.
Well and truly burnt to a cinder. So we've got to be, short, sharp, on it. Which, funnily enough, wasn't how Town started the game yesterday. Short, sharp, and on it.
All our tech post game.
Oh, tell me about it. Yes, you pay for the internet box. The internet doesn't work. Then the microphones freeze. Then they unfreeze. But the internet box didn't work. So I did a car reaction show. That's always fun. I hate those primarily just because I sit there with the cars, the ignition's not on, so my light's on, and I'm thinking if that drains my battery, and I'm sat in Cobble Rose car park all night, I'm not going to be an happy boy.
Will you get paid? Would you have to pay another 15 quid?
I think it's free after 10. I think
it's
free after 10. Yeah. Although traffic coming out weren't that bad, but you went for a pint before the game. Was that your highlight of the evening?
It was pint in the Black Horse with Mike Woods. Yeah, it was. It was it was an incredibly disappointing evening, considering this was one of the games I had on my. We could win this. I mean, that wasn't a ludicrous prediction either, given Brighton hadn't won a game since the 23rd of November, I think it was, against Bournemouth. So it was a winless run of 8 games. But Ipswich just didn't turn up.
Let's discuss it, right? Because obviously Brighton come into it 8 without a win, and we were for the first 20 minutes, Matt. For me, we were so passive. We were set up almost as a, to keep it nice and tight. First 20 lads, don't give anything away, lads, because Brighton had so much time on the ball. We were very content just to have 11 players behind the ball. Not be pulled out of our shape. If we pressed, rarely. It wasn't the press we've seen before. It was very much keep it tight, don't give anything away, which for me allowed Brighton a foothold in the game early doors. When perhaps they're coming into it nervous, lower confidence, without a win, and all those number of things you can say as a football fan, perhaps they are feeling. You decide to give them the freedom of Portman Road to the point where Christian Walton spent most of his time in the North Stand car park. We were that deep in the first half.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Well, I don't think we even crossed the halfway line, did we? Until about the 20th minute, 22nd. That's what I mean.
23 minutes. Suddenly we started playing. It was like, right, 20 minutes is done. It was 0-0. Let's get into it.
I mean, that was the difference between that game last night and the Chelsea game, where we kind of conceded possession to Chelsea, didn't we? I mean, if you actually look at the stats at the end of that Chelsea game, it was something like 76% possession that Chelsea had. Where we differed, of course, we were really good on the counter, and we were able to get the ball from Walton to Delap much quicker. Well, we just struggled to do that at all last night. I mean, it was chalk and cheese really compared to that Chelsea game. We had nothing. It was almost actually like going back to that game at the Emirates, where we had really nothing in the final third. I mean, look, I mean, it was interesting to me that Kieran thought the game was even. His take of an even game and mine are polar opposites, I think. I mean, we have 3 good chances, don't we, from distance in the first half. Second half, 1 shot, 0 corners at home.
Don't start me on the set pieces.
Yeah,
We're going to talk about them at some point. I'm sure we are.
Yeah. So I mean, like, we're polar opposites on that. The chances we did have were good shots, weren't they? I mean, you've got the one you thought him, Broadhead, which Verbruggen gets a good hand to, actually. Amari was quiet in the game. That was a good shot and a good save. And of course, Delap has an opportunity. That was it. If we think we're going to stay up playing at home like that, it's reducing ourselves to 3 chances outside the box and 1 corner in the whole of the game. Prepare for relegation now. But look, but as I was, I don't know if I said this to you or Michael, I can't remember now. If you reverse the results that we've had against Brighton this season, you lose 2-0 at the Amex, probably expected. But you get draw. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, corporate sellouts. So at least we ain't that. Yeah, and then you get the draw at Portman Road. Say it was a draw last night. We'd all be going, that was a pretty good point. But it was just lackluster. It was disappointing. The crowd was flat. I don't know if it's because it was a Thursday night. I'm not sure. Empty seats again as the final whistle has gone. You wait all these years. You go through all the journey, don't you? From Premier League to Championship to League One, all the way back again, and people are leaving early. Whether or not they was on that journey with us.
Well, I left early. As it turns out, I had no reason to leave early because the
it didn't work. So yeah, backfired for you, didn't it?
And I could have just got in the car and gone home. But
let's not put it all on Ipswich, though. I mean, Brighton are a good team. I mean, we'd take the majority of those players in our squad, wouldn't we?
We would, but my brother is a Sheffield Wednesday fan. He was there last night, and he said to me, "You're showing them too much respect here." And I had to agree with him that first 20 minutes. It was the respect that they had danger players that could hurt you, and they do, and they're a good side. But equally, you've got to be relentless in your pursuit of what you do. And that first 20 minutes, we were very passive, very respectful of what Brighton were going to do, and we're just sort of almost having Newcastle hangover, where we didn't want to be out of the game early. We didn't want to give anything away early. We wanted to build ourselves into the game, and obviously, 8 without a win, you could question what was happening there. Rob Holmes says Delap was isolated. Amari had an off night running down. Yeah, I feel really sorry for Amari because obviously, almost like Lazarus, we're hearing he's out for weeks, and then suddenly he's in the starting 11, and obviously it wasn't his best game. But if he wasn't fit, that we are really short in numbers. So I feel really sorry for him because obviously he wasn't fit, or he wasn't fit, and then he is fit, and it's not his greatest game. How fit he is, you don't know. I just think, to really will yourself back onto the pitch when you've been out for weeks, as McKenna said, that's some great guts and great determination. And I think he should be applauded for that, really.
Game, didn't he? I mean, he played the whole game, didn't he? I mean, once again, McKenna never play poker with that guy. He'd said in the press conference, what was it, the day before or whatever, he might be back for Liverpool. Something with a straight face. So he's straight back into the starting 11. So McKenna would rinse you for all your money, I reckon, around the card table at the casino. Yeah. So yeah, avoid that at all costs. I do wonder if Amari got sort of parachuted in slightly and they took a risk because of the delay in the Philogene transfer. I wonder if they had planned for him to actually have made his debut in that game last night. Potentially, that isn't going to happen. Lack of attacking options or whatever. They stick Amari in. Not sure. We don't know really. But it backfired really. I mean, other than the shot he had at the edge of the box, which was good, didn't really have any impact in the game at all, did he? I mean, but I think he played 90 minutes. I don't think he got subbed, did he? I think he played all through the game.
Not that I can remember. He didn't get substituted. Jack Smith says Amari does need to start having an end product more. The thing is, though, that could apply to any one of our attacking players not called Delap. That really is our big issue at the moment, isn't it? Our attacking players that aren't called Liam Delap.
Yeah.
You can't really hang your hat at the moment on any one thing they're doing well. Broadhead's like a sparkler, isn't he? He sparkles bright and then fades and then disappears. And I love Broady, don't get me wrong. But like yesterday, I thought he'd scored. He had a couple of bright moments and then nothing. Jack Smith says here about, Amari needs to have a more end product. Jack Clarke, who are you? We hardly know thee.
The frustration with Amari is he holds on to the ball for too long. I mean, he got himself into some good positions, and then it's 1, 2, 3 touches too many, and the chance has gone, and you're going backwards again, aren't you? I mean, Jack Clarke hasn't shown us anything yet to get excited about, other than a cross against Wolves from the corner for Jack Taylor to head home. And there's nothing we can do about that as fans. It's up to him as a player and the coaching staff to get the best out of him. But yeah, well, I mean, look, now you've got an abundance of options over that side, haven't you? Now you've got Broadhead, now you've got Clarke, now you've got probably Philogene in all temps and purposes competing for that role. I mean, look, Philogene will probably make that. We've just paid 20 million in a winter transfer window, a club record pretty much. He's going to be a nailed on starter, surely.
Well, he's certainly going to be more times than not, you would think. And I know he can't play. I know we've been told he's not great on the right, but we're playing inside forwards at the moment with the new formation, and maybe more centrally, him and Amari could interchange, swap. It's more of a free role, more fluid, or him and Broadhead. But we certainly need more if we're going to survive. Because to back to Eleanor's point at the start of the show, we're going to need 8 wins, whatever. We're going to need a lot more from the front players, and that's a collective until one emerges or two emerge and really, as I said 3 weeks ago, grabs the shirt, claims the shirt, and doesn't really give it back.
But then that's not McKenna's way either, though, is it? I mean, he makes so many changes from game to game, and we have a good performance against Fulham. Then obviously you've got all the changes against Bristol Rovers, so we don't count that. But was it 3 changes from the Fulham game last night? He never keeps a settled side, and we had said on the show that we thought Ben Johnson had played well in that game and defended really well. And suddenly he's out of the. I mean, even Ben Godfrey's now swapped the Atalanta bench for hours. I'm presuming he's going to be in the side. I would presume he'd be in the side against Manchester City. But then, like you said to me earlier on WhatsApp, you've thrown him into the lines then a little bit, haven't you?
Yeah. Welcome back to the Premier League, Ben. Your first game back is against Erling Haaland and Man City. Well done, son.
He's got, exactly. But he's got 2 England caps, so I would imagine he's got the mentality. I mean, talking of mentality, that's the one thing. Actually, just take it as a takeaway I got from the press conference last night when I got in and watched it. Was McKenna saying that the belief went after they scored the first goal. That's about as close, I think, as you'll get to McKenna criticising his players in public, because he's never really done that before. I mean, what that's kind of alluding to, giving up, didn't think they were good enough to get back into the game. I mean, there was lots of comparisons to the Crystal Palace game, and both goals, the Matoma goal last night and the Mateta goal in that game, were both in the 59th minute. Weirdly, so around that hour mark is obviously a bit of a danger for us. And there was comparisons to that Palace game. Again, you see Ipswich passing and passing and passing. We did over 400 passes against last night. I think I said after the Palace game was 500 passes. Whenever Ipswich start overpassing the ball, it's because they're lacking the creativity to break down a really good press and a very good low block. And you've seen that in the Palace game and the Brighton game now. We're much better when I think Chelsea got 200 and something passes, same with Spurs, and we win. Yeah. We deservedly win those games. Yeah. It's when we start, the creativity lacks when we're going back and forth, and then suddenly you're 150, 200 passes more than what you was against Chelsea.
Yeah, obviously, doesn't one of our best opportunities, funnily enough, ended up with us tackling each other. Amari and Jens on the edge of the box, cut back from Wes.
Yeah.
And they both want the bite of the cherry and end up making a great tackle on each other, really. But we do perhaps need a little bit more. I mean, it's not just the attacking players per se. We perhaps need a little bit more from those midfield too. Someone to come into the box. Obviously, Yen is entering the box there. But goals don't have to, or creative moments don't just have to come from your front four. You can, particularly with the back five, Matt. With the back five, you perhaps need that midfield box to box, or certainly someone like and obviously we don't have a Frank Lampard, but someone like that who enters the box late, who is willing to, because obviously a few times our crosses, they go into the box and no one's there. No one's gambled. No one's made it into the penalty area. And perhaps you need a little bit more from someone in that midfield too as well, whoever that two may well be.
You'd want that to be Tuesday, really, wouldn't you? I mean, he's got the athleticism to get box to box a little bit. I mean, do you think that worked last night, dropping Moulsey? Yeah, I mean, presumably Moulsey, I think Moulsey was presumably dropped to save his legs for Manchester City, knowing that we haven't got Calvin for that game.
Yeah, I'd have thought so.
I mean, a lot of people have been calling for that, but they finally got it, because we've said on here, haven't we? Moulsey seems undroppable or unsubbable. And then,
I like the midfield too, Matt. Just to cut across you, I liked the midfield too. Obviously, I'd want one of them to break into the box a little bit more, in terms of adding that number, just to even occupy a defender, take someone away from somebody else. But I liked them both as players. I think they complement each other really well. I don't think perhaps we missed Morsey in the sense of, I didn't sit there and think we're really missing Sam in midfield here tonight.
Well, but then our attacking options is certainly in that first half are few and far between anyway. Other than them, those long shots, I suppose. You don't know what else we're kind of missing though. I mean, the on-field leadership, I suppose, the talismanic figure that he is, I guess. But then look, he's been replaced by Calvin Phillips, who's like an England international, who's played at international tournaments. So it's not a bad swap round, is it? As it is, Tuesday never finishes 90 minutes anyway. Moulsey comes on regardless. I mean, that's a question I want to know why Delap doesn't finish games. I want to know why Tuesday doesn't finish games. Is he still nursing a knock?
I wasn't a big fan of that substitution anyway, if I'm honest. And I said on the match reaction show, but we'll get to the second half just a second. Before we do, don't forget we are partnered with the East Anglian Air Ambulance. If you want to help save lives and have the chance to win £1,000 every week, play the East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery. By playing from just £1 each week, you're helping to keep the yellowcopters fly. Yellow helicopters. That's a long sentence.
So yellow helicopters to say that.
Yeah. The East Anglian Air Ambulance Lottery creates 18 winners every week. The prizes range from £50 to £1,000. Over 18s only. T's and C's apply. The link is in our description. Please gamble responsibly and see the link in our description. Be gamble aware. All right, on to the second half. I thought we, as I say, built our way into the first half. We went at half time a little bit optimistic. And then we came out second half and did we come out second half? Really? I mean,
well, it was a bit of a damp skip, wasn't it? Yeah. I mean, McKenna says, doesn't he? The goal is the game changer, obviously, in Matoma. I mean, it's an interesting build-up, wasn't it, down that right-hand side? I wonder what Greaves was trying to do. I mean, he certainly tries to stick out a long leg to block it, doesn't he? And he gets away from him, which allows the guy to get into the box, pass through Phillips, and then Matoma scores. You felt Walton was at fault for that goal?
Well, I didn't see the build-up to that goal because I was actually looking at the scoreboard at the time, looking at the subs bench, thinking, how can he change this game? Because I could feel it going away from us. But at 0-0, I thought there's still that big chance. I was looking at the scoreboard, looking at the substitution, thinking, how would he change this? How could he change this? And in all fairness to him, he ain't got a lot on the bench that you think, well, that's going to be a game changer. But yeah, on Walton, I guess for that first goal, Rob Holmes perfectly leads us in, saying controversial, but do we need to look for a new goalkeeper? Walton's distribution was poor last night. He looked at all at sea coming for corners. I shouted to Bantam out a few times. I think he's got to save that first. And I know you're going to say, I know what you're going to say to me. You're going to say to me, Leif Davis gets in his way. I still think he's got to save that. He really has. Yeah,
having watched it back on various angles, I think Leif does get in the way a little bit, but it does go underneath his top of his arm and his elbow. Feels like he should have done better when you consider the save he makes from João Pedro, with the right hand that tips it out for a corner. That was an excellent save. But of course, football fans are fickle. We criticise him for the goal, and we kind of gloss over the really good save. I mean, look, leading up to, was Walton impacted by the João Pedro non-red card when he goes drilling in straight into him on the back? And that was a red card for me all day. I mean, I noticed Keith Hackett, the former PGMO head honcho, come out today and said should have been a red card, serious foul play. And if you'd seen it on the screen with the VAR look, they said it wasn't serious foul play, which was absolute nonsense. I thought it was a red card in the stadium. Everyone around me thought it was a red. Should have been sent off. We've had 2 players sent off this season for lesser challenges than that.
Yeah.
And they should have been down to 10 really. So whether Christian was impacted by that, I don't know. He certainly wouldn't have helped him. It was another case of VAR not helping us particularly. I was adamant that was going to be a red. I was confident, but yes. But going back to the goal, he should have. It wasn't a great shot from Matoma particularly, and Christian probably should have saved it. But he don't need us to tell him that. I'm sure he's been looking back on it today and thinking I should have done better. But he did. He did. I don't think he had a great game. I don't think his kicking was particularly good. A little bit of a return to the 2-touch potentially. I used to call him in League One, but I still think the defence is more confident with him in the net than Muric. Is the impression I get.
I'd like to see Muric under this new shape. I'd like to see Muric in this new shape where we don't always play it short. We can play it long. Which I was watching McKenna a bit last night, and there was a few times there where and obviously I'm not McKenna, so I can't be sure he's not happy with it. But a few times Walton went long, he didn't look particularly happy with the option that Walton had made, and I can sympathise because I think that's something that McKenna wants in his team, to play short, to be brave, etc., etc. But I'm not McKenna, so I can't say for sure it was at Walton. But that's the what I can
I
see
don't
from my
think
eyes.
there's a lot. I don't. Now we've seen more of Walton. I don't think there's a lot of difference between him and Muric, particularly.
Oh, well, Muric is a better goalkeeper. Muric is the better goalkeeper. And I said this several weeks ago. Muric is the better goal.
Based on
he's more commanding at crosses. He's an equal, if not probably a better shot stopper. He can play with his. I know he's been really poor with his feet. If you took the Muric, the Muric brain farts away, for a better word, right?
Yes.
No, but if you took him away,
he
would be the number one goalkeeper without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, most likely. Most likely.
Now, I know you can't. I know you can't take those away. That's one of those things it's like you can't take it away.
It's marginal, isn't it? I think it's marginal. I mean, he came with the reputation of being good with his feet, which is why I think they probably got him, because Walton didn't have that reputation particularly. But yeah, well, I mean, we said when they swapped around, didn't we? That it'd be Muric could feel aggrieved that they're now playing a slightly different distribution game from box to box, that Muric wasn't given the luxury of doing. But as I think I probably said after numerous Muric brain farts, as you like to call them, I said I don't think Walton's particularly the answer. I just get the impression that the defence is probably more comfortable with him, with Walton in goal. It's the impression I get.
Yeah, but last night obviously we went a little bit more back to that short pass. Well, we mixed it, and I do like the fact we do mix it. You can't be one dimensional in the sense of your goalkeeper always plays it short or always goes long. I think it's good to mix it, and we have been doing that.
As you'd said to me, the crowd have been baying for blood if Muric had kicked the ball off for a corner like Walton did. And that confusion with I can't even remember who the defender was. Went out for a corner right, didn't it? Leg doors in the second half.
Yeah,
everyone would have been getting on Muric's back there, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to that long term. I feel like neither is the answer long term, particularly. But who the replacement would be, I've got absolutely no idea. But that's one for next season. We've got both for this season. We'll have to wait and see A, where we are next season, B, what kind of how we move that forward.
But I do think the lack of that top goalkeeper is going to hurt us. It is going to hurt us. You maybe have to address it in the loan window, in the sense of you go in and you see if you can loan a quality Premier League goalkeeper. Do you persist with Walton? Do you go back to Muric? If you go, I'm probably edging towards going back to, and then it's one game, but then again,
Muric wasn't great shakes against Bristol Rovers. He had nothing to do in the game, and then passed straight to a green shirt.
Well, I didn't see that, you see, so that doesn't count to me because I didn't see it. I was obviously having birthday.
Didn't happen.
So it didn't happen. It's like one of those things. It's not posted on social media. Did it happen? €10 from David Bergen, and he's gifted 5 Talking Town memberships. And then David thought, you know what? I need to be I love Gov more. So he's given €20. David, you are a legend. David. Oh, and congratulations, by the way, to Adam. Congratulations.
Yes.
Congratulations. It's great news. I'm buying my hat, and I'm getting ready for the.
Wait, you got an invite over to Dublin, have you?
Well, I hope so. I mean, any excuse to go over to Dublin, right?
David will fly over for the party.
Yeah, fly me over, put me up. Give me board and lodgings, food, and all that. Now, David, honestly, congratulations to your son, and thank you very much for your generosity. João Pedro should have been sent off for me. I agree, but then João Pedro also had Wolfie last night. He really gave Wolfie a run around, I felt, in that second half, particularly.
Well, quality. Look, he's a bit of a shithouse, for want of a better word, but he's a good player, which is why Brighton bought him in. He's their mainstay striker, isn't he? I mean, that's the thing, isn't it? If you look ahead to Manchester City, are you keeping Wolfie in the middle there, knowing that Haaland is there? Do you bring Godfrey in there? Do you bring away Shane to the middle, bring Godfrey to the right? Permutations. When you've got the world's best striker.
Permutations, indeed. Yeah. Well, we'll discuss that as we sort of end the show, because we'll do the Man City wrap up, if you like, because obviously the games are coming thick and fast. Man City got 2 extra days on us.
Gave you the up there, didn't it?
Well, that's what you're doing, it, when you're playing, obviously, teams that are, not quite the quality you are. You give them 2 days.
I mean, what were the odds that we would play Liverpool and Man City back-to-back, home and away, in one season? What are the odds?
What are the odds?
The randomised fixture computer machine thing.
Incredible. Yeah. Incredible. Trevor says if it's goals we need to stay up, forget goalkeepers. Well, that is true. Has anyone seen my striker? I've been looking high and wide.
Well, you say that, but I mean, we've debated that quite a lot on this show, haven't we? In that Luton scored a lot of goals last season in the Premier League. They actually scored more goals across 38 games than they do in 46 in the Championship. But because they concede 80 odd, they get relegated. I do feel like probably the bit that kind of newish defensive system we've got where we're playing 3 centre backs and it can go to the 3 or we can go to the 5, wherever it might be, in and out of possession, seems to be suiting us quite well. But, Brighton were clinical last night, really. I mean, Walton should have done better with the Matoma goal, and look, the Rutter goal, he tries to backheel it into the net, doesn't he? Then he turns 180 and just side foots it in anyway, really. I mean, I'm sure Kieran was pulling his hair out on both of those goals, to be honest with you. I felt like watching the game in real time, it could end up being another 0-0. I mean, it was 0-0 obviously at the Amex, and I thought maybe it was going to be the same again, but it doesn't take much for quality sides with really good players. Like, Hertzler had said Axel Twanzabid kept Matoma dead quiet at the Amex, didn't he? Back in whenever we played them, August, September, whatever it was. And of course, you take him out of the frame. Matoma had a little bit more of a free run. He's left for space in the box and scores. It doesn't take much for quality players to score against teams that are down near the bottom as we are.
What did you make of the substitutions last night, then, Matt? Obviously, what were your thoughts?
I agree with you. I mean, you're chasing the game, so why do you take off your mainstay striker to bring Hurst on? Surely you want the 2 strikers on there, don't you? Because at 2-0, you're chasing the game. What's the best you can get? It's going to be a miracle to get a point if you can. That the chances of that seems reduced when you're taking Delap off. But we don't know why Delap keeps coming off. He gets substituted in 90% of the games. He's our best. He's our only goal scoring threat on occasion.
He runs himself into the ground. That's obviously clear and obvious. And I agree and disagree in the same measure.
He's only 21.
Yeah. Well, this is it. I mean, but I do agree. I disagree in the same measure. At 2-0 down, okay. Take the lap off, bring Hurst on. The game's done and dusted, and all barring a miracle. But so that's where I disagree in the sense of what you just said there. But I agree, because for me, first and foremost, the changes need to be a little bit more faster. The game's getting away from us at 0-0. At 1-0, it's starting to, obviously descend. And I said to my brother at 1-0, I hope he plays the game in front of him and not the game coming up. Because the worst thing I want to see right now is Liam Delap going off at 1-0 down, because we've got a game on Sunday. Play the game in front of you. It's only a goal down. It takes a moment of magic, which your striker's going to give you out of anybody at the moment. Let's be honest. So play the game in front of you. Then they went 2-0 down, but that was when the change was starting to be made. We went 2-0 down just as the change was happening. So I get the feeling, and I don't know, I'm not a part of the team, but even at 1-0, was he going to take the lap off and bring George Hurst on and still have 1 striker? Which I know he's never had 2 strikers, or arguably never had 2 strikers end the game at the same time in a conventional 2. But why not? Throw the kitchen sink at it. Do something different. You just don't go from a back 3 to a back 4, or go from something to something else that perhaps they haven't got an answer for, haven't seen on tape, don't know what you've done that before. How are we going to counteract that? Just try something. Do something that's really throw. You talk about poker, roll the dice. Because
I totally agree.
The game anyway.
Well, he stuck Cameron Burgess up top against Lincoln that time. Was it the Lincoln game?
It is, yeah.
I mean, maybe that dynamic could change if we do get a striker in. I mean, there's no whispers around that whatsoever, is there? You're not getting any speculation you are not going to get any speculation in the local media. Forget that. But certainly you're not seeing anything on the Athletic or the Daily Mail sports section or the BBC website. There's no one being linked, which suggests to me that it's probably if someone comes in, it's still a big if, I think. I mean, your worry is that there's going to be Delap and Hurst, isn't it? To the end of the season.
My concern is that they got George Hurst back and they're quite content. To ride that.
I wouldn't rule that out, having just spent 20 million on Philogene. I mean, we're leading the country now, aren't we, on a transfer spend, I think, for this window, on that alone. If they do bring someone in, it's going to be a loan, isn't it? It's going to be like Kiefer Moore. That was that last week of January, I think it was, when him and Al Hamidi arrived. It would be similar to that. But who that would be, I don't know. It's just no whispers around, is there? I mean, Latte Laf's been mentioned about going to Atlanta in the MLS for 18 million, which is less than what we'd offered, I believe, in the summer. I'd still take him if we could. I mean, they're obviously open to selling him, Borough. I mean, I'd still get him in, me. I think he's quality. He gives you the running. He doesn't give you the physicality that Delap brings to the table, but he certainly gives you the same attributes of the high press and running, and he can score a goal in and out of the box. And he scored that good header against us last season. So he's got all the attributes you want, I think. But what's left in the pot? You've done 20 million on another winger, as you said to me last night.
Yeah, but you are going to potentially be cashing in the summer, on two big transfers with potentially Leaf and obviously Delap as well. And strikers always go for fairly large sums of money.
Oh, of course, yeah.
It depends how they view it. If they view, obviously George Hurst is Delap's number 2. They're very similar in how they play. So a Latty Lath who can play off that last shoulder, is different in the sense of he's not going to be winning it against, in the air against 6'5" defenders or doing what Delap does and roughing people up. I've not seen a lot of Latty Lath. I can't say for sure it's not what he does, but I'm imagining it isn't.
You'd be paying 18 million if that was the fee to do what Al Hamadi's been doing when he's been coming off the bench, but as a quality.
But the issue, but the issue then lies, Matt. If you go, okay, we're going to go with George Hurst, that's our target man, for a better word, and then bring in a third striker that's got a different profile, a different way of playing, and George Hurst goes down injured again, you're back to square one because you're back with the different kind of profile striker and only one target man. And if you need a target man in game, you've got no one to bring on, which is what we've been finding, really. We've really needed that second Delap to hold the line, lead the line, keep chasing every single lost cause. I'd be more inclined to go for a third, for a better word, target man, just in case. I mean, it's great to have a different profile striker. It's great to have that ability to change it in that manner. But equally, how many times this year have you thought we need another lap compared to if only we had a player who could perhaps on the last shoulder or do something different that could have offered a different question. This is why
I mean, look, we've said this time and time again. This is why I would have just paid a nominal fee to Bournemouth for Kiefer Moore. At least he brings,
even he's not a Delap.
No, he's not. But again, he's
just because you're a target man. Look at Peter Crouch. You call him a target man? I mean, in the sense of would you put if you had two strikers, Emil Heskey and Peter Crouch, and you said you had to have a target man, would you be choosing Peter Crouch or Emil Heskey?
No, true enough. But I suppose at least
one's 9 foot tall. So.
Yeah, I mean, at least at the other end, when you're defending. I mean, I thought Kiefer was good as in those defensive set pieces. I just think he would have given you just another. Well, he'd have certainly given you a better look than what Al Hamadi has given us. He didn't even make the bench last night, did he? After the unfortunate penalty against Bristol Rovers. But I mean, look, it's spilled milk now, isn't it? Whether or not there was a deal with Moore, I don't know. But it's left us short for the majority of the season.
Yeah, and I am, because I mean, I know it's only January 17th. I am a little bit concerned that there's no, and I know there's gonna be no rumours from the Athletic, places like that, because obviously they don't have to abide by any anything. They just go in all guns blazing, so to speak. They hear it, they check it and they put it out, as it were. I am concerned because it is Jan 17th. I have known since November the 1st, approximately, I needed a striker. Yeah. I've signed a centre half and my 8th winger. But I've still not signed my 3rd striker. Yeah, I am, as a fan, concerned. Yeah, colour me concerned. I'm not panicking, but I'm starting to get itchy, thinking, like, 2 weeks today, innit? It shuts. So, they do know that, right?
It's a lot of money for Philogene, isn't it? I mean, that is money you spend we used to talk about rolling the dice. That is a bit of a dice roll for me to try and stay in the division. I mean, there's an argument, isn't there? They bought championship players, or good championship players, to transition into the Premier League. If not, you go back down. And as you said to me earlier, Martin, on the phone, it gives you another really good chance to get promoted at the first bite of the apple a little bit. But 20 million in January. I mean, people always say it's, you don't see many big deals being done in January. That huge deal for Town. So that does feel like a dice roll to me. I mean, need him playing as soon as possible. I mean, it's been an odd transfer, hasn't it? It took ages to get over the line. And I'm pretty certain they wanted him to make his debut last night, which is why I think Amari gets parachuted in. But my big concern really, though, is you've gone goal down to Brighton, and in all intents and purposes, McKenna has said, like, heads have dropped, the belief has gone. You've got Manchester City on the horizon in 48 hours. Got Liverpool the week after. Then there's a big 6-pointer against Southampton. And then they took the lead at Old Trafford last night and held on to it, didn't they, until the last few minutes?
You
really.
called that, by the way. By the stat, you were setting up, and then Man United equalised, and you said they'll win.
Oh
that
yeah,
now. You called that. You called it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just that's the luck of a team bottom of the table, isn't it? They're 1-0 up with 1-1. I think they got it to 1-1, didn't they? With 5 to go, and they end up losing 3-1. And so we've got Southampton, which is a 6-pointer, and then you've got to go to Villa. So I mean, 4 huge games there. 3 probably we're going to lose, and 1 we've got an opportunity to get 3 points on the board.
Well, you absolutely have to beat Southampton. Okay, if you're talking survival, you absolutely have to beat Southampton. The other 3, other 2 are Brucey bonuses. They're the bonus of being in the Premier League. You're playing a global football club with world-class players. You hope you get something. If you do, it's a Brucey bonus. If you don't, you never expected to. Villa, away. Arguably, you don't expect, but you hope that you can grab something. But it's Southampton, and can we pull out another ace out of the fire? Another Spurs, another Chelsea. Can we do that to give us something and a good platform?
It's very you always say about Ipswich, Ipswich luck. It was only Ipswich get out of the relegation zone by not kicking the ball, play 90 minutes to go back into it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I watched that Newcastle Wolves game. I mean, there's much more of a vibe about Town, and much more of an energy about Town than what there is at Wolves. They look a really poor team. They look a team of individuals. I think we saw that under Gary O'Neill, and they've built in that Vitor Pereira. Do you remember a guy? You're probably too young to remember this. A guy used to be on the news called Red Adair. He used to go around the world putting out oil rig fires. Yeah, if there was an oil rig fire, they used to call that guy. And Pereira is a little bit like that. He's been around the world, doesn't stay anywhere for more than about 6-7 months, a year at the most. Wolves have called upon him. He's Portuguese. There's obviously a huge Portuguese culture going through the squad at Wolves. So they've brought him in now. And I do think he's a good manager, that guy. I just don't think he's really got the squad. I feel like we've got a better group of players. Certainly we've got better energy around us with McKenna at the helm. But it'd be a real travesty for us to finish below them, I think. I think we're a much better team than them.
We are.
They got brushed aside by Newcastle. But it's grating to think that we are third bottom and they're fourth from bottom. Yeah. Certainly after we beat them.
You just have to be better than Wolves or Everton. Arguably you can. Leicester obviously is still in the mix. Southampton, say they're in the mix.
Everton are in big trouble. And the fact they've got Moyes in as a club legend, trying to appease the fan base a little bit, but he's still got the same squad of players. He doesn't play that much of a different game to Sean Dyche, I don't think. It's whether or not they can recruit anybody in January, and we're only 2 weeks out now until it shuts. Be interested to see what they can do, but that's a huge goal. Look, we dropped. It's now a terrible loss, isn't it, to them at Portman Road? That 2-0, and we go to them in what? Is that the last away game of the season? Second from last game?
I'll just look at the fixtures. Could well be. But what was really pleased me is obviously there's no the managerial bounce has been flattened straight away, which I was so pleased to see.
yeah, because it was looking good for him, wasn't it, at one point?
Moisey comes in, loses his first game.
He's lost his,
I've got no stats to back it up, but I'm hoping and praying that that means the managerial bounce that you normally sometimes get a la Wolves has been
because Wolves done well. Wolves have done well, but I mean they're now on a really tough run, they got to go to Stamford Bridge Monday. I think they play all the top 8, including Newcastle just gone. Then they've got to play all the top 8 in the next 10 games, dozen games or something. But then Ipswich haven't got easy games either. I mean, it'd be much better if we were playing Southampton.
Easy, but you've just mentioned Southampton and Everton, and we picked up 1 point out of 6.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's
from them both so far this year. That
we said straight after the game at St Mary's, didn't we? That could well be a bad point for Town.
And we played poorly that day.
Yeah, but we looked like a relegation threatened team in that game, and that was early on in the season.
But what I would say is, as Town fans, we see it every single week. So sometimes we don't see it, but again, my brother, he doesn't go very often. He was there, and he said to me, "You've learned so much since Crystal Palace," which was the last time he was there. You've learned so much since Palace. You're a different side, not only the way you set up, but how you approach things. There was a certain instance in the first half where Burns knocked it past, and early part of the season, he would have chased that ball like like a dog across the park. Just chased it blindly, tried to get there first, and then pressed, but he didn't. He realised he couldn't win it. He stopped, held his shape, and you got yourself back into a comfortable 2 banks of 4 or bank of 5 and a 4 or whatever. Yeah. It's little things that, as fans, we don't see it. We're there every single week. You lose it because it just happens slowly. And obviously that's a huge part of why some fans like myself have still got that little bit of belief that we're going to do it, because we have learned so much in such a quick amount of time for players that have made step ups to the Premier League for the first time. And we are a different side to that, to that Palace game. Yes, we lost both occasions, but we do approach them differently. We are a different side in the way we defend. We're a lot more savvy, less naive. So there are little bits of shoots that perhaps you don't see it. Obviously, McKenna's making plenty of notes last night, Matt. So there'll be even more improvements.
Deliver on your theory. You got a new note. You only's got a new notepad for Christmas, don't you?
He got a new. Yeah, he probably got a new notebook and pen for Christmas. Because he was scribbling away. He's like my son at Christmas. Right? My son got a big craft box. He's been craft mad for January. You wait till February, he won't want to see that anymore. I wonder how long the notepad and pen lasts. Like, I was trying to just do a sweepstake on it, but he was scribbling away. On set pieces, before we move on to Man City.
Oh, God. This is your huge bugbear, this, isn't it? Go on, say your piece. Go for it.
I've got nothing to say because we don't do anything with them. Now, defensively, let's have it right. Defensively, from set pieces, statistically, we're very good. Okay, I think we're like third, maybe fourth in how we defend set pieces. But how we attack set pieces, I don't know where we are, but we must be down the bottom.
We scored one set piece all season, the corner at Wolves. Is that it?
Well, you could argue the lapsed goal at Man City came from a set piece. It resulted in a set piece. It was a corner that was knocked away. He got the ball, turned, and obviously scored. That was the equaliser. Or was that West Ham? One of those two games.
West Ham.
Thank you very much. They were very quick succession, those two games, weren't they? Very quick succession. That's another one you could argue. But we don't look dangerous at all, Matt. Like Brighton yesterday.
2 in 21 games.
It's honestly, we need, and I keep saying in our Discord, can we talk about set pieces yet? We need to talk about our set. They're so cool.
You'll recall when McKenna first come in after that, halfway through the season and going into his first full season, when he said, if we don't score from set pieces and corners, then we're, Morsey at Southampton was from a corner. Yeah. But the few and far between. McKenna identified that, didn't he? He said, if we don't score from set pieces, if we don't score from corners, we ain't going to be getting out of League One. And you could argue that if we're not taking advantage of these situations in the Premier League, we're going to get relegated from the division. So, I agree with you.
It's a division of fine margins when you're down the bottom. It's a broadhead strike that the goalkeeper saves. If he doesn't, it's 1-0. Does the game pan out differently? It's fine margins. Obviously, set pieces are something that don't cost money. You don't need an Erling. Obviously, it'd help, but you don't need to be Erling Haaland to score from a corner. It's fine margins. It's creativity. It's delivery. It's all different manner of things. Now, I'm not Mark Hudson. I wouldn't like to tell you what to do, how to do your job, but it's many different things, and we don't look threatening from them. Like, Brighton yesterday having the Arsenal routine. I'd kill to see an Arsenal routine at Portman Road just once. Just try something. And we had a free kick, Matt, and this is what really wound me up. I was like, this is nonsense. In the centre of the park, in the first half, and we just had all our players in front of him in a line, and I thought, where's the angle with that? Like, what's he going to aim
exactly.
at?
Yeah,
like, you're not overloading one side with a few players on the other side to try and get a knockback or maybe get some movement in it. It's like a rugby. We just lined them up in a line. And I just thought,
and by the same token, we can see the second goal from that free kick on the edge of the box for Rutter. It was like, we didn't defend that very well, did we?
No.
Yeah, it's really. I agree with you. I think it's really disappointing. So we've now boiled it down to what are the goals in. So the Jack Taylor header at Molineux, maybe
Sam
the at West Ham and Wolsey at St Mary's. That's not a great return from 21 odd games, is it, in the Premier League?
But it's not. But it's more than that for me. It's how many times you look dangerous. Like, do you sit at Portman Road now and go, got a corner? Oh, here we go. No, not really. I sit here and go, well,
we don't even get that many free kicks in and around the box, do we? Like, you don't see like the famous one, the broadhead curling free kick against Sheffield Wednesday at Portman Road to get us back into that 2-2. They're few and far between, aren't they? Those kind of opportunities. Who even would you be confident over it? I mean, look, Broadhead's only just come back into the side. Davis, maybe. I mean, he does score a free kick in that same game, didn't he, to make it 2-2? But it doesn't feel like we've got that kind of specialism. I'd like to see Jack Taylor do a Mark Venus and just lever it.
It's just when you compare it to last season. Now, I know this is the Premier League. It's elite level. I get all the arguments. But last year, we had so much creativity with our set pieces, with cutbacks, movement. So many times, like, there was all this movement in front of Connor Chaplin, who just sort of sidestepped to his left.
Always the focal point was Chaplin.
There was that creativity to it where you could say, they've obviously worked on that in training.
Yeah.
Things like that. And I just...
It's on that, doesn't it?
Where from a set piece point of view, we're just really falling short in a league where we fall short in so many different areas already. The one area where it doesn't cost money to fall short, we need to improve in that. And that's one area if I was looking, I'd be looking at. I think we need to. So statistically defending, we're doing great. Absolutely brilliant. But I want to score goals more than keep clean sheets, because we're probably going to, concede as it is. So we need to score as many as we can. All right, moving on to Man City. Obviously coming up. Craig said we were told O'Shea was a real threat from set piece when he signed. Though thought we got another Christoph Berra. Hamish said we have to talk about Jack Clarke. I think there was a strong chance of him going back to Sunderland this month on loan with a mandatory buy clause if the Black Cats are promoted. What are your thoughts on that?
What is that? Is that legit information, or is that just an assumption? Well, he could only go back to Sunderland, couldn't he? I think on loan. Don't know. I'm not sure about that. He needs to show more, Jack Clarke. I mean, that is completely out of the fans' point of view of being able to impact anything. It's up to the player. It's up to the coaching staff to get the best out of him. But then, like you rightly keep saying, Martin, he plays like as an inside forward rather than this winger hugging the touchline. I mean, this is my concern for Philogene. Is Philogene going to be played on the left-hand side, which is where he had all the success for Hull City pretty much? Or is he going to be shoehorned into the side on the right instead of Wes Burns, and they keep Broadhead on the left? McKenna doesn't open himself there, I think. Square peg round holes. I really don't know. But I mean, Jack Clarke has been disappointing. I'm sure he's really disappointed in his career at Town to date so far. I mean, maybe he's having issues settling in. I mean, he's lived in the North East. He's come out down into East Anglia. He's not even that old, is he? Was he 23, 24? Something along those lines. But as Tux always says when he's on the show, people say give him time. We don't really have time now. We're on the other side of the slope of the Premier League, aren't we? We're counting down towards the end of the season. We want to stay in this division. We need people who can make an impact, and sadly, he hasn't. Not yet.
No,
anyway.
It's a really tough situation because you've got to make that impact from the bench and work like Broadhead and work your way into the lineup. Interestingly, yesterday, obviously towards the end of the game, it looked like Davis was underlapping as opposed to Clarke being inside to create the space for Davis. That could be a little interesting thing to monitor more long term. Is that a new adaptation? Is that a new wrinkle that we're going to have?
So what did you notice?
Jack Clarke on the byline with Leif Davis going inside on the underlap. Because normally, normally it's the other way around. You get your wingers as inside forwards that create space for Leif on the wing, and Leif goes on what you'd call many years ago the overlap. Yeah. But yesterday, just to end the game, more times than not, it was Clarke as the wide player and Davis on the inside. I don't know if that's long term. That's a fact of the game. Once or twice, that's how it panned out. So it might be something to monitor if that's a new wrinkle of, okay, we actually are going to play our winger who, when we signed him, the fan on our show said he likes to have chalk on his boots. We are actually going to play him as a winger now. And we're actually going to ask Leif to maybe change his game a little bit when Jack's on the pitch to see if we can get the best out of him. I don't know. Just of observation I picked up. Well worth looking into because he's not an inside forward.
No,
I don't think.
Doesn't look comfortable at all, does he?
No.
We don't look anything like the player that we thought we was getting. And that might be because he's not playing in the position that he wants to be playing in. But I mean, he's doing what McKenna asks him to do.
But I don't, and I just go back to this recruitment. I don't see him leaving purely from the point of view. The football club want to stay in the Premier League, of course they do. But equally, you could argue the recruitment is also with an eye of, okay, if we get relegated, we're going to bulldoze the Championship. Our players that we brought in with ability will be further ahead on their progression development timeline. So when we come back the second time, they're all better players. They've all got that experience from the first time around. Because if you look on paper, and football's not played on paper, I know. This is a really, really good Championship football side, with some top players in it that you should arguably bulldoze your way back to the Premier League. Now, it doesn't always work out that way, but you can see how he would factor into that. He was a great player last year for Sunderland, so you wouldn't want to lose him unless the deal was really good in the sense
I mean, what kind of message would that even send out to the fan base or the football world in general that you pay 15, 16, 17, 18 million quid for this lad from Sunderland and to send him back again when you're struggling to try and stay in the division? I mean, I don't think that would send a message to the fan base. Wouldn't be a good message to the fan base or the player. You've not been good enough. Get back to Sunderland. We'll see you next season. I can't see that happening at all. He's always in and around the squad anyway. It's not like he's ever sitting out. If he's not starting, he's on the bench, and invariably he comes on. It's just he hasn't had any impact when he comes on. This is the problem. He was good against Bristol Rovers, but that's a League One team.
But then you come back to the paint by numbers substitutions, though, Matt. He's given 10 minutes in a game that's 2-0 down.
Yeah, exactly.
What's he going to do?
Like, exactly.
Fulham was obviously a situation. He hit the post. It wasn't his fault. They scored off the back of it, but that could have been a moment for him. But more times than not, he's from my memory, he's given either minutes in a game where the result's already out of hand and done and dusted, or very limited minutes towards the end of the game. And it's like, had he made that substitutions earlier yesterday, perhaps you would have seen a bit more of him. I don't know. I feel like I don't know this player. I feel like I've barely seen this player. And it's already, it's January 17th. And I feel like I've hardly seen. And we haven't.
That's why people can write him off and go, let's keep Broadhead in the side, because Broadhead's been on the journey with us. League One to the Premier League. Upon Clarke's coming on a biggish fee for Town. And how to impress. Really.
But then Broadhead is also an inside forward. If you ask Broadhead to play as a winger, like a traditional,
Austin's played number 9 before. He's played 9 before, hasn't he?
But my argument there, Matt, is if you said to Broadhead, okay, I want you to play as a winger on the byline, beat the fullback at the cross in the box, etc.,
yes,
would he have the same impact from the bench that Jack Clarke, who we were told is a chalk on the boots winger, we're asking to play as an inside forward? You know what I mean? Would have the same impact? Because Broadhead's not a winger and Clarke's not an inside forward, but you're asking a winger to play an inside forwards role. Confused myself.
Confused. That was confusing, and also what McKenna's asking us to do is confusing. Yeah.
Anyway, Man City. Any changes for Man City as we close up the show?
Well, I think Godfrey will come into the defence, and I would imagine he'll probably come in for Wolfenden. How that 3 will look, I don't know. Is there an argument for Burgess to come back into the side over Greaves? Maybe. I'm not sure. I still think it's unfortunate, having not been a Cameron Burgess fan and being converted, I do feel it's unfortunate he's not featuring. But we'll see. I mean, McKenna has swapped him and Greaves around before, hasn't he, after losses, the Palace game being one. So and Greaves was at fault for that goal, and arguably maybe for the first one last night a little bit. Moulsey will come back in, money, because we know Calvin can't play. So that I'm pretty certain we'll see Moulsey and Kihu stay in the middle. Where does the big question is, where does Philogene fit in? Is he going to go left side? Is he going to go right side? Part of me feels like he's going to go on the right, and they'll keep Broadhead on the left. Just got this. Well, that's based on nothing but just an inkling. And McKenna's history for playing players in the wrong position they don't want to be playing in. And of course, we'll have Delap in there, and I'm sure Amari will be floating around somewhere. So that'd be it, I think. All right,
yeah. Probably Walton in goal.
Yeah,
I don't think he'd make a change there. Johnson at right wing back, Godfrey in for Wolfie, O'Shea and Greaves the other side of him, Davis on the left. More. So
you're taking Burns out for Johnson, are you?
Yep. Yeah, I'll take Burns out for Johnson. So I just think that's something he may do. I don't know. Obviously, I'm not. I've got the team. I'm not in the know. This is what I would like to see. Because Johnson played well against Fulham. He has had some good performances. Yeah. He's grown into that Town shirt.
Yeah.
And since from where he was at the start of the season,
he's in and out though, isn't he? He's in and out as well. You talk about Jack Clarke, and
why is he in and out? You're playing 5 at the back. He can defend and he can get forward. He can provide what you need.
He's the header onto the bar against Fulham that allows Smodics to score, doesn't he?
Sets up Smodics at Man City.
Yeah.
He's got the ability. He's a good player. Good player. Okay, so where are we now? So Jens and Morsey.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll start Philogene, but I know what you say. But as you were talking, I just got the feeling maybe he's seeing the England under 21s lineup. Amari, Philogene, Delap, and play Philogene as that inside forward left, Amari inside forward right. You've got Burns off the bench. You've got Broadhead off the bench. You've got obviously Smodics when he's fully, when he's back. When they're back, Chaplin off the bench. It gives you more options. But maybe there is a way you can play Philogene on that left, and there is maybe Broadhead dropping out of the team, which would feel harsh. But equally, he's been bright, but he's not put up any huge stats in the sense of he scored 3 goals, he got 4 assists, or even 1 goal, 2 assists. Like
he's brought some spark in, like you rightly said earlier. He's brought some spark in places, and he's got kind of dimmed out a little bit, hasn't he? I suppose it will. I suppose Philogene's involvement is how much training time has he had with the squad. I mean, we don't know. Look, the transfer's gone on for so long. Has he been training with the team the whole time? We really don't know, do we?
Well, he can't train with the team, can he? Because you're not. I don't think, because obviously you're not. Your registration is with Aston Villa. It's not gone through. But I would have thought if he's staying in the area, he must have been at the training ground doing individual work, doing individual on his own work.
Yeah. I mean, look, obviously, I know McKenna said they were going to be training this morning, didn't he? But obviously, with the turnaround time, I really don't know. I mean, maybe that game has come too soon for him to start. Not sure. But for 20 million quid in January, he will be starting games. It's just which side of the 3 he's going to be on. Remains to be seen.
I hear you, and we'll close the show in a second. But why has it come too soon for him? You're playing Man City. You're arguably not going to get anything out of the game anyway. I'm just thinking in terms of attacking patterns of play, all that kind of stuff. I mean, look, get ball, run with ball, score with ball, header with ball. Like we ain't getting much out of our front 3.
You're doing you're doing what Pele does in Skate to Victory. He goes, I do this, goal.
But we ain't getting much out of that front 3 as it is. You ain't got a big benchmark to try and overcome here.
No, that is true. I mean, look, yes, and he has played a season with Delap in the Football League, hasn't he? So I would personally throw him in and see if we can get a bit of magic. Let's wait and see. I mean, what a start to your career if you could score against Man City or score the winner or be. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I'm pretty certain they're looking at him. I'm pretty certain they're looking at him to come in and have some kind of Sarmiento effect that we saw last season. He came in, didn't he, in the January window, scores that goal against Southampton, that all intents and purposes gets us promoted. I'm pretty much thinking that they're looking for that, but the upgraded £20 million version, really, the Premier League version. Yeah, let's wait and see. Let's hope he gets off to a great start. Anyway.
Well, this is it. Okay, we'll do score predictions as well. What do you think the score will be this Sunday?
Well, if you'd asked me a few weeks ago when Man City were going for that dip and we were looking quite good in games, I would have fancied us maybe winning. But it seems like Man City have turned the corner a little bit. I mean, Haaland's signed a 9-year deal today. I mean, he's going at some point. It's just to make sure they get
9.5 years, isn't it?
They're just making sure they get 300 million euro for him, wherever it's going to be. I think they'll probably have a bit too much quality for us, and they're probably 2-0, 3-1, 2-goal deficit, something of that nature. I think if we can get something out of the game, as you just said, that'd be a Brucey bonus. But I mean, look, you've got the world's best striker bearing down on us on Sunday. It's going to be a really tough game. But look, we played well against Liverpool on the opening day of the season, didn't we? Gave them a bit of a scare. Let's hope we can put in that kind of level performance. Let's hope we can put in a better performance than we did last night. Anyway, that is a bonus.
Yeah, I was surprised, but just thinking about Philogene, that they didn't showcase him before or at half time.
Well, you wanted him on instead of the darts player at half time, didn't you? They don't really do that, do they?
You just signed a new player. It seems like an odd opportunity, doesn't it, to have a bit of positive.
Yeah. Get the crowd going. Get the crowd going there.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ipswich Town's latest signing, Jaden Philogene. Fans get excited. Obviously, he says a few words. Can't wait to get going. All that sort of stuff that the normal football player, that they normally say. That's PR. It just felt like, why not? He's obviously in the area. We all know he's in the area because
he was there.
Well, there you go. Like, just why not have that moment?
Don't know. Good question. One for the Ipswich Town media team to answer that. Yeah, I don't know. Agreed.
Seems surprising. Not that I would have heard him anyway, because the Cobble stand doesn't get any type of.
Another one of your bugbears, the PA.
So, all right, we're done. So we're back. Obviously, post game Man City. We're done for the week. Thank you ever so much for watching. Don't forget, Stowmarket Osteopaths. Give Freddie a call. Oh, 80. 80 hopefully will be with us on Sunday. And Phil, and to think about the match.
I'll get that tech working first.
Yeah. Well, this is it.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. But don't live life in pain. Give Freddie a call. 01449 613 633. Freddie's the governor there. Tell him the Gov at Talking Town has sent you. Stowmarket Osteopaths. And we'll end with Colin's comment. I don't fear them. There we go. Thanks for watching. Have a great night. Bye-bye. God bless. You make me smile when I think of you. If I